Hi, hello, I'm Kay Medallia. I'm a fine artist, comic book artist, and heartist. I make art that's of benefit to the world. And if you're the same, thanks for checking in because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, which is really, really fun. Just one thing is that at the end of this video, I'm going to explain how Rumi talks about story water. What's that? Stick with us till the end of the video and you'll understand what Rumi meant when he said story water. And one last thing, please subscribe to the channel because that really helps me out. I think I'm at about 53 subscribers, which is really fun. So with your help, we'll get to 54. And then you tell a friend, we get to 55. Okay, anyways, that's just a bit of funniness. Okay, cool. So this video here is broken up into 3 parts because it's talking about how art is used for healing, for therapy, and for change. That change part is really cool. So that's going to be the last bit. But yeah, it's broken up into 3 parts. I flip those around, but it starts therapy, healing, then change. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about each part. I've made a few notes on each, a few sort of anecdotes. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about story water. And then I'm going to actually leave a little challenge for you as well, a kind of art challenge. So let's see how it goes, a sort of literary art challenge. Okay, so part 1 is therapy. How can we use art as therapy? It's such a common thing, art therapy. You know, we know there are degrees on it, and you can go to art therapy for your own needs. And we hear about it in terms of, you know, rehabilitation for people and people that are in prison that use art and art therapy to sort of work through, all the issues that they need. It's such a powerful tool. It's not necessarily the most common psychological tool used and not necessarily represented massively, but it is still very popular, very common. And, when you think about it, it takes us right back. It's like, a lot of therapy is about receding and, pulling back the sort of adult problems and looking at our lives from a child's point of view. And what does that better than sitting and drawing, than using art therapy, and I guess that's the clarity, is that art therapy is broad. It's a broad term. It can apply to a lot of things. When it's used generally, I guess people just assume it means sort of coloring, drawing, painting, that sort of art therapy. But, any art therapist would say, no way, that's not it. It's it goes across all mediums. And I guess maybe each art therapist has their own specific area that they focus on. So giving them their specialty and their focus. So you might have like an art therapist that focuses on dance or drawing or illustration and this sort of stuff, or, any other art form, music therapy. So I guess that's the difference. Music therapy, art therapy. Is art therapy just drawing? Is art therapy the umbrella term for music therapy and other types of therapies? Therapy. So I realized I was saying that word quite a bit. So, okay, so the first note that I have on this is that personal themes reveal psychologies about us. The personal themes that we reveal when we make art tell so much about us, and a lot of artists will say, okay, I don't put myself in my art, I write about things I know. And that's true, but no matter what, every piece of art we make, every artist, every person, every line of art has that element of truth to it. And it's truth about the person who makes the art or the people who make the art. And that's really cool. So when you start to make art, the psychological themes that get revealed by you exploring just any subject that comes to mind, or the subjects that draw your attention, or the subjects you've always wanted to explore, by doing that, those themes will reveal your psychology. They will reveal the different elements of your mind, of your subconscious, that are naturally trying to come through and just waiting for a faucet of anything to open to allow it to come through. And creativity is one of the best faucets to kind of let our subconscious and our true selves, our true natures come through, which is super cool. So I thought that's neat that that the themes that you reveal yourself, the themes that you reveal show who you are as a person and reveal yourself as a more evolved person, which I love. Okay, and then as therapy. So sometimes therapy can be used as rehabilitation, specifically, to deal with, obviously physical therapy to deal with physical injuries, and, And then art therapy and the psychologies and all those types of therapies are for the mind, you know, for a mind that needs some healing. So how can art help with that, with healing, with being therapeutic towards healing? So we're kind of crossing into the next notes of healing, but what we're talking about here is still therapy. And what it is the flow state. Okay, this is the thing that is just so wonderfully therapeutic, so wonderfully healing, so wonderfully sort of encouraging, is the flow state. So what this is after 20 minutes of focusing on something with sort of a really good intensity, our minds switch over into this flow state, which is when we find our flow. You know, this goes across athletics and all sorts of performance, all these sort of things. Anything that requires a sort of intense concentration over extended period of time will induce a flow state after about 20 minutes. And that is just releases endorphins like crazy. The mind is just loving it, you know, because we're so focused. We're doing it. We're using our energy. We're expending our energy. We're taking everything we've learned and we're putting it all in. And our bodies just react to that. It's happy. It's joyous. It's the equivalent of being on a roller coaster as a kid or at a theme park as a kid. It's just wonderful. So yeah, that's definitely a healing point, is the endorphins that can be released by getting into that flow state for 20 minutes and then after 20 minutes sticking with it, working. You're drawing, you're doing whatever, you're playing music. Like, that flow state is so important to endorphins. And yes, it doesn't rely entirely on art to get into that, but there is something special about the creative flow state. So maybe that's kind of another video for another time, the creative flow state. But that's when you release endorphins. We also release, like, and this is more spiritual and, you know, imaginative, but you release sort of ancient chemicals, you know, these chemicals that are built into our bodies that we can release by doing things that we have done since time immemorial, you know, so that our ancestors have done generation after generation, creating art, doing these things. And obviously that ties into other kind of ancestral activities, cooking and whatever, and, you know, building our houses and these sort of things. Any sort of flow state around that is very, very deep and very sort of, yeah, very connecting to our ancestors. And, you know, that little bit is the philosophical, so it's just my thoughts, but perhaps they're interesting. Okay, healing. So we talked about therapy. Now we're going to talk about healing. You know, the endorphins help you heal, but they're also, you know, that's what therapy's for. It's to heal. So they obviously tie together. But for healing, let's take okay, so let's see what my notes here. Okay. So this is a big one for healing. And maybe this is my own personal journey because I struggle with, you know, self-confidence and, and self-worth. But art, when you make art and you're creating something beautiful, you're creating something of value creatively, which is, you know, everything's of value creatively, of course. But once you know you're really, really giving a good effort to that endeavor, you can change the way you perceive yourself by making great art, because you can start to realize that you as a person have great value. You as a person, you can turn your negative narratives, your self-loathing narratives into hard evidence that you have beauty inside you, that your soul is of deep value. And no matter if there's billions of souls out there and you feel like yours is one of another, everyone is special and you are someone. So art will show you that, and that will heal your soul. Especially if you're struggling with, you know, as I say, self-identity or anything around body issues, anxieties, like these all can be healed by having hard evidence that you are an artist. You make beautiful, beautiful things, and they are of value because they are beautiful and wonderful, and they express your individuality and your uniqueness. You know, those are huge things. Those are what topple empires is: individuality, uniqueness. Those are the big things. Those are what always break down these militant states that want everyone to act one way, you know? So that's healing. Heal how you see yourself, then You can heal how you see the world. You can go out and heal the world. There's, it's options. Okay. And then just the sheer emotion that comes through art. And that can lead to healing, whether the art you're making leads to you as a creator or the person who is absorbing your art literally laughing out loud. That's really healing. Healing therapy. I mean, laughing therapy is the thing, and it's also what cults do and stuff. But it's also definitely a form of therapy. But if your art can make someone laugh out loud, or even more, make someone cry, make the tears come, the tears we save for the saddest moments in life. But if you can make those come through into your audience, then you've really done something, and that's, yeah. When those emotions, those hard emotions, even anger, even irritation, even passion, if any of those come through, then that's going to heal. Those emotions, those strong emotions. It's the passivity. It's the fear-induced slothiness. Like, I don't know how else to describe how I get, but it's a fear-induced slothness where I can't do anything, But instead of that, you've acted. You've made beauty, It's good stuff. It's all really lovely, lovely, lovely stuff. Crying, laughing, evoking emotions. This is how art can heal. It's wonderful. Okay, last part, and this I love. This is about change. How can art be for change? And obviously it's a broad word, change. I'm referring to it really specifically in terms of social change, the broad spectrum that means, and the intersectional change, giving everybody from every intersection the opportunity to show their voice and to have their voice and their art heard and seen. That's empowering. We all have so much value. Every one of us has so much value. And it's such a shame if you don't see that in yourself, or if you see someone else not seeing that in themselves, that whatever we can do to correct that in everybody around us, to say, nope, you got value. I'm sorry, whatever you think about yourself, you have value. That's what art can do. It can change things, but it can also change minds. There's pieces of art will change the way people think, and then the way people think will change the way that the government legislates, because the people will be so upset by the things they've read about and they've heard about in pieces of art that they will want change to legislation. That's how far it will go. And of course that can be used for good or bad, whatever that means, but I mean it from a compassionate point of view. So anything that makes compassion come through is what art can do. It can change that for the better. Satire is so powerful. To satirize something is to change the way people think about it, and that satirization that the artist does, the cartoonist, making these leaders look worse than they did, but that image that these cartoonists will draw of these leaders will be maintained in people's memories. That caricature, that satire. Art has always done that. To cast a spell is simply to spell. So, it's magic art. So it can change so much. And so from a social point of view, art has to. It has to. Whenever you hear someone saying that an artist is up there getting their award and they shouldn't use that platform for politics, they shouldn't not use it for politics. And they know that. Because the artists are the ones that can make the most change, because people listen to artists, because it's hard to be an artist, and once the artists have made the art, they've proven themselves. I don't know exactly why. It's not exactly cut and dry like that, but there is definitely truth speaks through art, and artists make art. So artists have some truth to them, and I don't want any arrogance here or any sort of assumptions about that artists know everything, but we do listen to artists. So if an artist has a platform, they have to use that platform for change. So basically everything you do should be of benefit to the world. All your art, all of it. And that's broad. You don't have to just do certain social political work, but all your work has to be social political. The contemporary artist Ai Weiwei says everything is art, everything is politics. Something like that. I think I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's pretty simple like that. That's it. Everything is art and everything is politics. Done. So art for change is the most important, but also you can then rest easy knowing that you made art that was giving a voice to the voiceless, helping people feel less alone. You as an artist can rest easy if you make art for change. So you need to use art to heal yourself. You can use art professionally to heal others and to, you know, support yourself financially. That's a lovely way to do it. We can use art as therapy as we move through this world. Art can move into the formal space of therapy and not be, you know, kind of sidelined when it comes to therapeutic practices, but instead be where it should be, at the forefront, you know. And of course, equine therapy is just as wonderful as art therapy. There's tons of different types of therapies that are just as valid, but they all deserve to be on the forefront so that everyone has a plethora of ways to heal themselves in this world, you know. Okay, so I promised you Story Water by Rumi. What does that mean? So what I love about how art, and this is, I guess, specifically about art for change, is that Rumi says that a story, okay, here we go. Rumi, he was a 17th century Sufi poet, really wonderful guy. He just really cool character, wrote some wonderful long poems and short poems and stuff that just kind of takes your breath away. I wonder what he was like in real life, you know? I really wonder. I think he, you know, yeah. So he wrote a poem called Story Water. And the poem says how a story is like water that we heat for our bath. What does that mean? You know, a story is like water that we heat for our bath. And essentially what it is that when you're heating water for your bath, you can take the pure flame of fire, touch it against the basin holding the water, and the water itself will heat up to a point that humans can interact with it. We can't interact with the fire itself. We can't interact with truth itself. But what we can interact with is art. And art, or a story, is like water we heat for our bath. It makes that pure truth tangible and touchable. I think that's beautiful. I hope I explained it well enough. But, you know, I think about that all the time and it drives me. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. I love Rumi. I think he's so cool. As you read any Rumi, what do you think about all this? I'd love to know your art practices. If you want to put those in the comments and say what you do for your personal art therapy healing, or if you're a professional or sort of aspiring professional art therapist, what do you do in those sort of things? I think if you put those down in the comments, other people will read them, and it's good for my channel, but it's also great for people to kind of interact and have more resources. So it's kind of mutually beneficial. Okay, and then I said I'd leave you with one little like literary art challenge, and it's more literary than art, but how related to all of this, and thanks if you got to the end and you've stuck with me, how related to everything that we're talking about do these two words or even names come into it? Ozymandias and Shelley. Ozymandias and Shelley. Any idea what that means and how it would relate to the topic I'm talking about today? If you understand that reference, again, comment below. That's so fun. Let me know. I don't suspect many people have gotten to the end of the video, but if you have, that's wonderful. And thank you so much for sticking around, for your love and support. And if you need some love and support back, I'm here for you. Go out, make art, make change, heat that water up so everyone can heal themselves in the purifying water of truth, you know, and beauty. Truth based in compassion and beauty for beauty's sake. It's wonderful, okay? Thank you. Take care. Take care of yourself. Take care of everyone you know. And be safe. Make art. Lots of love. I'm out. K. Medallia.